And we are live. Greetings, everyone. I have a question for you. Have you ever been in a situation where out of nowhere you feel intense pressure, intense stress, your heart starts racing, your breathing becomes more shallow, you feel darkness come over and impending doom? Yes, it's anxiety. It's that panic attack. And this is the thing. You're not crazy. You're not broken. Nothing is wrong like that. But I'm going to tell you what is happening. You're not alone. And this is something that is real and it is common and you're not making it up. Welcome to the midlife and menopause moment. And I want to share this with you. So last year, many of you know that I was caring for my father. Me and my brother were. And I was going back and forth from here to Indianapolis, flying to help out. Whew, it's taking me back just talking about it. And so I remember one day, and I've been doing a lot of the mindfulness work, a lot of breathing, a lot of meditation, a lot of mindfulness based stress techniques, watching what I eat to help with my stress levels that I know help calm and feed the nervous system. So that day when I got on the plane, I felt good. I was like, okay, I'm ready to face it. But as soon as the first tire touched down onto the runway, my heart rate increased. I felt a pressure on my chest. I felt my breathing become shallow. I felt darkness begin to come down on me like a curtain was lowering, right? And I wanted to scream. My heart rate increased. I felt impending doom. And what I kept telling myself was, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. Oh my God. Woo, I'm not going to make it. And I began to try to intentionally breathe to calm myself down because I felt like I was going to scream and jump out of my skin. It was a panic attack for the first time ever in my life, a full out panic attack. And here's the thing, I'm a physician, but even I didn't realize that this was connected to menopause and stress, not just colliding, but crashing together. And so that is what, I'm trying to go live from here. That is what I want to talk about and share with you today on our midlife and menopause moment. Let's go live because today now we were working. Live, live. Mm. That's what I want to talk to you today on our midlife and menopause moment is the anxiety that happens over 40 and you're not crazy. This is what's going on. So why should you listen to me? So greetings, everyone. Happy Monday and a marvelous Monday indeed. And even if you are in the midst of overwhelming stress and even maybe some anxiety, it is still a beautiful day and a marvelous Monday indeed. And I am both a physician as well as a holistic health counselor and clinical nutritionist. And what I do is through my company Freeality is I help fabulous women over 40, just like you, just like me. I'm phenomenally 50 plus, though. I help you maneuver these midlife transitions, releasing stress and menopause symptoms naturally with grace and ease. And I do that through premium loose leaf herbal teas. I do that, well, the really relaxing escapes of wellness in the cup, indeed, wellness coaching programs and retreat experiences. And so here's the thing, welcome. So, with this anxiety, this midlife anxiety over 40, you're not crazy, what no one told us, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Why is the anxiety? First of all, anxiety is one of the 37 symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. And why is it happening? It happens because the estrogen and progesterone are decreasing, and then that um, that time frame of the perimenopause, what happens is that the those levels are decreasing and they're fluctuating. So estrogen and progesterone influence serotonin. Serotonin is our feel good neurotransmitter, and dopamine is all about that pleasure. So if you notice that things that used to bring you pleasure, used to bring you joy, hobbies, activities, or maybe that other one that is also wonderful, and the highest height of pleasure is no longer feeling so good or bringing you pleasure anymore. That's what's happening. And so the serotonin, as well as the dopamine, all influenced by estrogen and progesterone, affects your mood. So some of the symptoms, 37 symptoms of perimenopause and menopause in this midlife transition, is going to be, of course, anxiety, panic attacks, mood swings, brain fog, even some depression, okay, irritability, all right? Oh, that's a lot, child. And then this is the thing, what happens is that women who have a history of anxiety, depression, or PMD, so that's severe premenstrual syndrome, but it's no longer PMS, it's PMD, okay? Then they have a higher incidence of anxiety and panic attacks in the perimenopause and menopause phase. Now, remember, now I'm postmenopause, 4 years postmenopause. We're in postmenopause forever, ever, forever, ever, okay? For the rest of your life, all right? And so, um, those are some of the risk factors for having more anxiety and panic attacks over 40 in this midlife phase, all right? Now, the other risk factor is life is life. Lord be. Life is lifing. And so with this lifing going on, some of those risk factors of, in my case, it was the caregiving. In my case, it was grief. Can how many raise your hand if you experience grief, but somebody hasn't even transitioned, they haven't even died. I know people say unalive, but I'm a physician. We learn, honey, you don't go in and tell the people that somebody is unalive. You have to say that they died. Hits on the brain, okay? But anyway, you can experience grief and no one has even died. Grief of changing life dynamics, grief of, in my case, I was grieving watching my dad's life slip away. Every day was a new day. Every day was a, whew, feel that in my chest. Every day was a different day of seeing something in his body deteriorate, something in his body decay. And it was overwhelming. It was sad. It was overwhelming. And many people right now in this world are grieving. They're grieving lives lost. They're grieving their life being different and not having what once was. They are grieving their children leaving home and the house being empty. They're grieving relationships that were once loving, and now they're strangers. Mm, mm, mm. And so all of that can bring up these feelings of impending doom. And what happens? That increases our stress. That increases our cortisol levels, the stress hormone rising. And that further influences the estrogen levels, the progesterone levels, the serotonin levels, and the dopamine levels. Honey, all going down. That is where the stress and menopause and midlife crash, collide, make everything worse. And then what does that do? That also triggers hot flashes, night sweats, which further compounds more anxiety and more panic. So then something comes along that you see something on TV. that makes you feel even more fearful of the future and impending doom. And then something comes along and you receive that phone call that such and such is in the hospital. And then something comes along and you receive that phone call that the test results were not what you thought. And then that compounds the problem even more. Sis, you are not alone. Sis, you are not crazy. Sis, I got you. Now, let's briefly talk about some things that you can do about it. So, in my case, the reason why I did not feel like I'm jumping out of my skin and scream, because that is what I was feeling inside. What I wanted to do was scream and say, "Help!" on the plane. But the plane is covered by the federal government, okay? The transportation, all right, Department of Transportation. And so they're enforced and said it's covered by the government. I did not want to scream, and then there'd be a problem that later I'm on the do not fly list, okay? Or they commit me. So, what I did in the moment was I talked myself through. I made a call. First of all, I used a lifeline. I used a lifeline and I reached out to my cousin because they said, now you are able to use your electronic devices as we taxi to the gate. I said, sis, I need help. I feel like I'm losing it. I feel like I'm falling and spiraling down into a black pit. And so that's the thing. You use your social network, particularly for women. I don't know if maybe you've watched me before, and I talk about something called tend and befriend. And when women reach out to other women and we talk about it and we connect, we use our social support, then what happens is that you are now tapping in to the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms down that fight or flight, all right, and help bringing you back to balance or homeostasis. Okay, the second thing that I did and that you can too is that I began to breathe, intentional breathing. And I was like, instead of quick shallow breaths, I talked to myself and I said, Michelle, pull it together. Michelle, breathe. Michelle, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold it. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, inhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, exhale. 2, 3, 4. And I kept saying that to myself over and over until I began to slow down. Yes, that's what I did. And I want to share those two things with you. And then I want to share a third thing with you. Okay. The third thing that I want to share with you is those are very two real things that you can do to reset, bring yourself down, calm yourself down. Because in that moment, guess what happened? Your girl had a hot flash, made everything worse. And as I slowed down, began to activate my parasympathetic nervous system and began to deactivate the sympathetic nervous system that fight or flight or freeze. My anxiety was coming down. My panic was releasing. I was releasing my stress. And the third thing I want to invite you to is even more ways, 5 more steps to release your overwhelm over 40, the stress reset that is happening in just a couple of days. A masterclass for fabulous women over 40, just like you, just like me. A 5-step system that I use over and over, even on today, because I'm still getting those phone calls. I'm still seeing those messages on social media and on the news that sometimes As soon as I feel that pounding in my chest, that heaviness in my chest, I'm like, wait a minute, you have to pause. You have to get this under control. Remember your 5-step system and implement it. This is not a quick fix. This is not a magic wand. This is a lifestyle so that I can maintain, create, and maintain radiance and vibrancy in my life, so that I can maintain calm in my life, so that I can maintain control in my life, of my life. I control me in my life, and what how I choose to respond during the day. Honey, the news, the social media, outside factors, what's going on in government does not control me. Amen and amen. So I want to invite you to that on Thursday. Begins at 7:30 p.m. EST. We will not be broadcasting live right here. And to claim your seat for your stress reset, honey, go to resetover40.com. Y'all know I cannot talk and type, but I will do my very best. Um, um, Okay, well, I will post comments later. Resetover40.com, www.resetover40, the number 4040.com. I look forward to seeing you there. I look forward to pouring into you even more on a deeper level there. I look forward to giving you more tools for your calm and your transformation over there. So, until then, I'm Dr. Michelle like Obama, Clay like Cassius. This has been our midlife and menopause moment. I have enjoyed you live for this Lunch and Learn session, and also to the replay viewers. Thank you so much. So until then, I want you to be well. I want you to do something well and wonderful for yourself to release your stress and push that reset button, and have a positive rest of your day. Bye.